Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking quick shifters. For the track days I'm going to do, I need all the help I can get. The Nine T is not a super powerful bike, so what I thought I'd do is track down a quick shifter that'll help me bash through the gears without needing to use the clutch or roll off the throttle. Now I've done a fair bit of research. I look at a few different brands. This one, as far as lamb chop rides is concerned, is the best by far. Low revs, really a very, very good unit. So I'm going to walk you through sticking this on the bike. So let's have a look at what's in this thing. Just bear with me because I don't have my little tripod thing at work. What's in the box? Okay, in the box we have stickers, instruction manual, blah blah blah. Yep. We've got the unit in here. Now I've previously had these envelopes open, but they're almost welded shut by Translogic. Okay, there's the unit, very, very small. Now I did speak to Translogic on the R9T. There's not a threaded end. There's only one threaded end here, protected by a little nylon sleeve. The other end is for like a little ball joint, you can see there. Now I did ask them on the R9T linkage, there's a ball joint top and bottom. And I said, well, which way is it orientated? They said it doesn't make any difference. So I'm going to mount mine this way. Okay. Now there are two cables there. I'll go through the connections when I get it on the bike. Okay, so pop that aside. This next one is, I don't think I'll be able to fit it to the bike before the track day this weekend, which is a bit of a bummer, so I'll have to wait for the next one. Little fitting kit, a couple little clips that help run the wire or keep the wire close to the extension rod. We don't actually need an extension rod in our case because the linkage is so small. In other bikes you do. Okay, so that one's empty. That's not this one. We get this harness, I believe. Oh, that's the unit. Okay, so it's the Intelli unit with all the connections as well. Now, the instruction manual, and here is the harness. Okay. Now, I downloaded. You've got to take the serial number off the side of the box to download the manual. It's not BMW specific, it's not our bike specific. Where is it? Here. Okay. In our case, it's actually a push signal that we need. We're pushing the what do you call it, the sensor. We're pushing against it, we're not pulling. Okay, so we connect this particular wire to the sensor input, the push one. Now these quick shifters for us, we don't have ride-by-wire throttles, so this is an upshift only quick shifter. It's not downshift. We've got no water blipper, so upshift only, so we'll be pushing. Okay, so that's that connection. All right, so okay, I'll get in front of the bike and start wiring this together. Okay, there's the gear linkage where the unit will be installed. I'll just show you for lengthwise. It's the unit against it there. I'm going to mount it in this position. So this top ball joint here will go on the top one. So what we need to do is move this clip, the top clip, around in a position where we can slide it off, and then that joint will come undone. What I'll do is remove the flapper valve motor to make it a little bit easier to access that. So you remove the plug here and then a Torx there, move him and then move it out the back, and that'll give you better access. Okay, now you can see right there is the gap in the clip. So what you need to do is get something very small in there and then move it towards the front of the bike, and then it'll pop off, or it'll come away from the housing groove. Okay, for whatever reason my clip doesn't want to rotate and come out, so I'll take the whole linkage arm off with a little E8, and we'll move him off that spline. It's easy. There's a little mark there lining up with the sort of groove there, so very easy to replace. But once I move that off, it'll be a bit easier to get the clip off. Okay, I've taken it off the spline, dropped the unit down. In retrospect, this could be the easier way to do it. What I'm going to do is take the thread, undo this locking nut here, take the thread rod out, then I'll connect the ball joint part of the unit to the linkage arm here. I'll get this pesky clip off, and then I'll be threading it into the lower arm and then bolting it back up there. So yeah, might work out to be a better way of doing it. Okay, here's a clearer shot of that ball joint. It's sort of situated like this on the bike. Now, if it focuses, what you need to do is get hold of that end of the clip on the right hand side and then circle it towards the front of the bike. It's actually retained, the other end of the clip is retained a little hole, so you can't get him out. So yeah, if you don't want to remove the linkage arm, just get you're going to need something to move that, like almost a little pick, and move that clip towards the left to remove it from the ball joint. Okay, so that clip, let's get a focus if we can. It's that clip. Okay, so it's rotated around to the left, and then you draw it down. Okay, and then your ball, just lever it, will come straight off. Give your ball a bit of a wipe down, get all the old grease and junk off, and put a bit more lithium grease on it before you, fresh grease before you install the shifter unit. Okay, so then you have your unit and the ball. Make sure the clip isn't in, clip it in place, and that's when you'll put your pin, locking pin back in, and then twist it around. Okay, and that's locked into place, and that's the orientation of the unit. Okay, there it is, mounted back on the spline, all lined up with the notch. The gap's lined up with the notch, so we'll tighten this this nut here up. I've just got the cable threaded up the back, just keep it out of the way. So we'll do it the other way, tighten him up, and then we'll go on to the bottom part of the linkage. Now I've run into what I think is a small issue. They're giving you about, call it 10 mil of thread to play with, but what I've realized is, even if I wind it on sort of just with one thread and the ball is in line with the gear shift, the gear shift's pretty well in the same position that I had it before I removed it. So if I thread that on any more, the gear shift is going to be further up than where I normally have it. So I might actually have to remove the shift lever and move it down a little bit to compensate. Okay, I went on about halfway, about 5 mil. I tighten that lock nut up and then put the clip back. I actually won't put the clip back yet. Reason being, when I remove the shift lever and move it down, it may not be in the position I want it to be. So what I can then do is wind it up another thread or two, and then again move this this lever down. So that's, I think, what I'll do to get it in the perfect position for me. Okay, all tightened up, the lock nut, and we'll pop the pin back in, locking pin, drop him in, clip him around. Done! Onto the harness. Alright, now you're going to have to take your seat, your rear hump if you got one, your tank off, disconnect your battery, positive first, take your positive off and negative last. Now what I've come to realise is the manual, when you download it, it's, you know, when I first had a look at it I thought, oh Christ, I need a PhD to bloody work this thing out. This Translogic unit for the R9T, or at least the one I bought for the 2015, is completely plug and play. Okay, so it plugs into your injectors here. Okay, so what we do, we push that little clip in, and then you'll take off your injector connector. There we go. So that's your injector connector. Now your new one for your Translogic harness will clip into your injector, and then there's a corresponding female, and then you'll loop your existing one, your original one, into that female. They also recommend mounting, you know, maybe under your seat cowl, mounting the unit. So I'm going to pop him right there with a bit of space. Okay. Okay, I've roughly laid out the all the harness. So the ECU I'm going to mount here. I've just lightly just housed the forward part of the harness without clipping it properly, but the right hand bank, the orange and green I've gone for. There's nothing actually in the manual, so I don't think it makes any difference. Now, so here, coming out of the ECU, we've got this wire that goes to the negative terminal, so we're going to have to put that in the black side of the battery, the negative terminal. Now, on the actual unit, coming from the unit, you've got these two wires. The red and green are for a pull signal, okay, and the green and blue are for a push signal. Okay, so we need to use the push one because as we're changing gears, we're pushing the lever. You know, down would be pull, but this is a push, okay, for upshifting. So we use the green and blue wire, and that will clip into the yellow and green socket here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to find the best layout for the cables. Probably follow the beside the ECU here, follow it down the rail, zip tie it in, and tied it all up. Okay, you might have, you know, your own way that you want to route it, but I'll give it the best shot for me. Okay, the idea of mounting it under the hump or under the pillion seat, I've had to change my mind because it's impossible to thread the cables under this welded piece of steel on the subframe. So it says don't mount it under the tank, so that's out. It does say, look, mount it at the side of the battery perhaps. Now, look, this is what I'm going to do. It's not ideal because it's you know, a little bit ugly, but I am going to mount it onto this surface here. You know, just while I set it up, it's easy to remove and to adjust all the settings. So I'm going to mount it here. Don't vomit. I'm going to mount it here just to begin with. The cables will go up to the battery. It's actually a fairly, you know, good spot to mount it, truth be known, but not ideal. It's a bit ugly, but anyway, that's where she's going to go for the time being. We'll get the tank back on, get all the electrics wired up again, and we'll see how she runs. Alright, now before we start mucking around with the harness, don't forget to disconnect your battery. Positive first, negative last, and then when you're putting it back together, positive first, negative last. Now on the right side, we'll start with the right side, push the spring clip in and gently remove the connector. Now what you want to do is get your all routed in a way that is neat and tidy. On the right side, the grey and orange one will go onto your injector, and then your original arm will loop to the green and grey. So I'm just going to pop it under there. Yeah, if you don't like that configuration, you can always change it, of course. So it's clipped in out the way, and then the one going to the quickshifter ECU will clip on top of your injector. Don't, for God's sake, don't be too rough with it. Just make sure it goes on nice and cleanly, which this one is not. Just spread the clip out a little bit. There it is. Here we go. Done. A little bit fiddly, but away we go. So what I'll do is I'll have these wires zip tied. I might actually take this off and loop that behind, but you get the idea, and then zip tie all your wires nice and neat. And clean off your area where you're going to mount it up the unit. Now here's a small tip. I've mounted the fuzzy bits of the Velcro to the back of the unit, just so you can get them perfectly aligned. I'm going to stick the loop, the hook part to it, and peel it off. So I'll do that with all three. So that means when I stick them on the side of the battery box, they'll be perfectly lined up. So I want it to be as secure as possible. So there we go. And then try to line it up. There's a bit of a cast line there we can use for a bit of reference. Get him right there. Okay, fantastic. Okay, next step, we'll connect all the cables up and reconnect the battery. All right, a bit of a footnote. This Velcro is not very strong. Okay, it comes off, pretty easily. But just for testing and stuff, I'll leave it there. But if I'm happy with the spot and all that, I'll get some, really strong double-sided tape. Not double-sided tape, like industrial Velcro or something, because if you're getting the bike tuned, your tuner might need to remove it, rip it off, take this little cover off here, and then adjust the settings. So pretty important that it's accessible. It's a good spot to mount it. It's just a bit ugly. I just didn't want it there, but if that's where she's going to stay, I'll definitely be fastening it with some stronger Velcro. Because the ECU is so close to the battery, there's a mile of wires here. Now, when you replace the tank, you're going to have that deck here. You can put your your tool bag on top of that. I'm going to bundle up these wires, zip tie them, and they'll rest on top of that sort of tray on the tank. They won't be in the way. Okay, so that's how I've brought the cables up and just put a couple of zip ties on them, so they're sitting in this void here, so they should be just fine. Okay, moment of truth. Okay, green is neutral. All right, stands up. All right. Clearly the ignition is cutting, so I think we're golden. Apparently it's all working fine. Sensor lights flashing when I'm shifting. Again, maybe a bit of fine tuning involved when I get it on the dyno, but it's all looking very, very good. Guys, I think we're okay. I'll take it on a road test tomorrow and let you know, but I think, you know, the ignition was cutting as it should. I will have Pro Cycle dynos at Slacks Creek here in Brisbane. I'll get Fred there to chuck on the dyno and fine tune it one day very, very soon. But guys, that is it. I hope I haven't missed anything. It is very simple. It's a complete plug and play unit. Very, very, very easy. Just follow the basic instructions. You know, when you're installing it, disconnect your battery, you know, positive first, negative last, blah, blah, blah. You know, make sure the wires don't bind. Hopefully that linkage, you know, I'm sure that'll be fine. It's doing its job. All right. So yeah, hopefully guys, this is all you need to help you put a Translogic quickshifter on your R9T. All right guys, as usual, ride safely, all the best, and don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification for more vids coming up. All right guys, ride safely, bye bye.